Oh, hi everyone. It's Tanya here from Find Your English Voice. Now, last week you started mapping your fear fingerprint, which was identifying exactly when and where you freeze or hesitate using English. This week's question: what do you actually do with that information? So, today I'm going to show you why the generic advice like just be more confident doesn't work. And we'll talk about what does. A quick recap from last week: you've been specific in tracking the situations where your confidence might drop. Hopefully, you're noticing patterns. Maybe it's in meetings with senior leadership or figures of authority. Maybe it's unexpected questions. That's another common one, or just presenting to large groups. I think people feel nervous about that, no matter what language they're using, even just using their first language. So now we've got the question. Okay, I know when I freeze. So what do I do about that? And this is when sometimes people can get some advice, or maybe we even think this kind of thing to ourselves, like just be more confident in meetings. And if it were that simple, we would all be doing it. So, what actually does work? The reason that doesn't is because confidence isn't just one thing. It's not like a switch you can just flip on or off. It's context dependent. You might be incredibly confident presenting slides that you've prepared, you know well, you know what you're going to say, and you feel in control. But then if somebody interrupts you with a question that you didn't anticipate and suddenly your mind goes blank, your confidence can vanish. It's the same meeting, the same you, the same language, but the context changed from prepared to spontaneous, and then your confidence can like disappear there for a moment. And that's why the generic advice isn't working well, because it treats confidence as if it's universal, which it really isn't. Let me give you an example. I had a client who used to give presentations, quite large presentations. She had beautiful slides, clear data, really nicely done. And in the run through she did with me, I couldn't see a problem. She was articulate, professional, she looked confident. But the thing was, Q&As terrified her. She said the moment somebody asked her an unexpected question, she would freeze and her mind could go blank. She would stumble over words she normally used easily. She didn't suddenly lose her English skills in that moment. Her English was exactly the same. What changed was the element of control. So she was confident in prepared situations, what she knew where she was doing, what she was saying, who she was speaking to. But she panicked in spontaneous situations where she couldn't predict what would happen next. And telling her just to be more confident just wouldn't work in that situation. So, why does it fail so spectacularly? Well, number one, it's too vague. What does it even mean? What does be more confident even mean? Smile more, speak louder, pretend you know what you're doing, fake it until you make it. It doesn't give you anything concrete to work with. Second, it ignores your specific triggers. If you freeze when speaking to authority figures, but you're fine with your peers, your colleagues, being told to be more confident in meetings just doesn't help at all. Not all meetings will trigger you. It might only be meetings with certain people. Thirdly, it gives you no actionable steps. What are you supposed to do differently tomorrow? How do you improve? How are you supposed to practice confidence? You can't. And fourth, and this is, I think, the worst part, it makes you feel like the problem is you. Like if you just tried harder or cared a bit more, or maybe you were less sensitive, you would magically become confident. And that isn't how the nervous system works. It's not about willpower, it is about training. So, what does work? Specificity works. You've already done the first part. Last week, you mapped when you freeze. Now, let's take that awareness and turn it into a training target. So, not I need to be more confident in meetings. That's too broad. You can't train for meetings in general. Instead, maybe I freeze when senior managers ask me unexpected questions in large meetings. Now we have something we can work with. We can design practice that actually helps. We can practice responding to unexpected questions. You could even get people to interrupt you. You could work with your teacher, trainer, coach, even AI. You could run through your presentation and get AI to interrupt you with unprepared, unexpected questions. And it's by doing these kind of situations, that doing the situational practice, that again and again and again with different outcomes, different situations, that is going to help your nervous system, like retrain your nervous system to respond differently in that specific scenario. Here's what this shift looks like in practice. The generic approach, just being more confident in meetings, as we've said, it isn't useful. But if we practice responding to unexpected questions, so that you've got some go-to phrases if you're ready, and if you're so that you can be ready if you're put on the spot. And just if you just had one of those, that's really probably not that useful either. Or you'll become known as the person who gives that one particular standard answer. So we need to come up with a lot of different ways that you can react to different situations and train again in a slightly different way, so that it's making your experience broader. And then your brain will start to associate this situation, because your nervousness is a learned pattern. Your brain associates the situation with a threat, but we can retrain it through small, repeated exposure to prove to your brain that, this actually isn't dangerous, which is going to help you to have a different response. There was one transformation that I witnessed quite a few years ago. I had a client who came to me saying that they wanted to be better at English in meetings. I think they were even asking for specific vocabulary and phrases to be used in meetings, a lot of which they actually already knew when I started going through them. So I started to suspect that something more might be going on. So I asked, which meetings specifically? With who? At what point in the meeting do you struggle? And then as he thought about it, he realized that he was fine in meetings with his co-workers, with his teammates. He was often fine in one-to-one conversations, but he struggled when he had to contribute, or he felt he had to contribute to discussions with cross-functional teams where he didn't know everybody well, and the topics were outside of his direct expertise. So once we had that level of specificity, we could train for it. We didn't work on confidence as such in meetings. We worked on, for example, admitting that when he didn't know something, admitting it. I'm not familiar with this area. Could you give me some more context? Sometimes we would work on phrases that he could use to buy himself some more thinking time. Even as simple as, that's a good question, let me think about that for a minute. Oh, I think we even talked about, 1 second, the English part of my brain is still loading. And then he felt that he was able to contribute, even though he wasn't an expert. Like, for example, he would say, I don't really know much about this topic, but from my perspective, blah, 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 I was wondering if, in a month, maybe we could, whatever it might be that you're contributing towards that, to that meeting. But it wasn't because he became more confident. I mean, over time, he became more used to certain scenarios because we'd actually trained for them, which gave him the feeling of confidence because of the repetition, because he now felt that he had specific tools for specific situations. So here's your homework this week. Take the triggers you mapped last week, but this week get even more specific. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what exact situation makes me freeze? Not just in meetings, but we need more detail than that. Try to write down as much as you possibly can. The example was cross-functional project meetings, where I have to present updates to people I don't know well, that I gave you earlier, that my previous client had. Who is present when this happens? Is it your peers? Is it authority figures? Is it people that you don't really know? Is it a specific person who particularly makes you nervous? And then 3, what specifically triggers that freeze moment? If you get that actual freeze moment, is it being asked a direct question? Is it maybe not liking, maybe you don't want to go first? Is that it? You don't like to be the first person to say something? Is it when someone challenges what you've said? Is it being put on the spot without any preparation? The more specific you can get, then the more effectively you can train for the next time a situation like that comes up. Generic awareness gives you really nothing to train for. Specific awareness gives you a training target. That's really what we want. So remember what we talked about last week. These are not journal prompts. This is performance data. You're not writing about how meetings make you feel. You're tracking, like in this meeting with these people at this moment, I froze. And that's exactly what happened in my mind, in my body. That level of specificity is what is going to help you to train for those moments. It's what moves you from, I wish I were more confident, to I'm going to practice this skill in this scenario. Next week, I'm going to show you the 5 most common fear patterns I see in business professionals. You'll probably recognize yourself in at least one of them, I would imagine. That pattern recognition is going to help you get even more specific about what you need to train. So, before next week's video, I want you to do one thing. Take one trigger you identified and get brutally specific about it. Not I freeze in meetings, but I freeze when my manager asks me direct questions in Monday morning team meetings, specifically when I haven't prepared an answer in advance. That we want that level of detail. That is your training target. Next week, I'm breaking down the 5 most common fear patterns I see in business English learners and users of English. You'll almost certainly recognize yourself in one of them, I would think. And that recognition is going to help you because you get even more precise about what you need to work on. And that's what we need to know. Okay, so if you want some more personalized help in mapping out your specific patterns and building a training plan for yourself, you feel free to call me. I offer free discovery calls. The link is in the description. And I'm going to leave you with the socials and my web address. If you'd like to get in touch, you're more than welcome. In the meantime, have a good week. Get really, really specific on write as much as you possibly can about your triggers, and have a good week. Take care. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.